He's got good questions.
These are good
doesn't he?
questions. These are good.
Good question.
Ooh, excellent question.
Holy smoke!
Wow,
that
that
is
is a
that. I know.
Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you
You
so
had
much.
great questions. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jake.
you. Well done.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Sir Patrick, I'm going to start with you. One of my favorite life lessons came from Star Trek. In fact, it came from you. It's the moment that Captain Picard tells Data,
It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life.
over your 35 years playing this character, what's the most valuable life lesson that you've taken from him and Star Trek as a whole?
Good question.
That I have learned from him how to listen.
What do you mean by that?
You may know exactly what your thoughts are, what you want to do with them, what you believe in, but if someone feels differently, hear them out, listen to everything that they have to say, and learn. It's I've a couple of years ago I began experimenting with improvisation. I'd never done it before, and I come to love it, working with a company called Improvised Shakespeare Company. And the very first and important thing they ever said to me was, the secret about improvisation is listening to everything that's said. And then you become part of the pattern and the picture of dialogue.
Well said. Well said.
I was wondering, though, guys, if you could imagine sitting down with the late, great Gene Roddenberry, watching this season of Picard, and after a few episodes, you lean over and you ask him, what did you think about how we did this? What is the aspect of this season, of this show, that you would just love to get his thoughts on?
The women.
Ooh, what do you mean by that?
The women are much stronger. The women are more, they can do, there's nothing that you would exclude them from. That wasn't true before. Obviously, I have enormous, endless respect for Gene's vision of the show and his idea and his concept of the future and the possibility of what it could be. But I actually struggled with some of the roles that women were in, that later on in other series, other iterations, there was a woman captain or this would happen. But I absolutely love the way all of us are portrayed in this season, and I think that's one of the things I would say. You see, women can do that. This is okay, and we can have conflict like this and still work together, collaborate, and find a resolution. It might not be a perfect resolution because the world is imperfect, but we are doing what's great for the greater good. And but I would also say, Gene, you did well. Look at this. How many shows? How many? And they're all wonderful. I'm very, very honored to be part of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sir Patrick, anything on your end?
I would be very uneasy about sitting down with Gene to watch Picard. We had a curious relationship. It is on record now, so I'm not giving away big secrets. But I do know, and somewhere it exists in the archives of Paramount, that he sent a memo to every senior person on the production before we went into production of Next Generation, saying, I do not want to hear the name Patrick Stewart ever again. It's banned, it's forbidden. Because I had Robert Justman and Rick Berman were both very enthusiastic to get me on the show. And often would Gene, whom I respected enormously. I didn't have an intimate, close relationship with him. I would have liked to have done, but there was always a distance between us. And he would come down and sit in a director's chair like this, and usually when we were shooting the bridge scenes, and somebody told me the other day why he chose the bridge scenes, but I'm not going to tell you what it was, and I would catch him looking at me like, what is this guy doing? I never wanted him. And so it was always an awkward relationship that we had. But I respected his achievement hugely. And most of the fundamentals of Star Trek philosophy began with Gene.
Absolutely.
Now, we extended them. And after Gene had so sadly died in our third season, I think, and left us, the atmosphere as to what subjects we could use was relaxed a little bit. Gene didn't want politics. Well, politics doesn't just mean the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or the Labour Party and the Conservative Party.
Cultural, society, everything.
Yes, all of that too, you know.
Yeah.
And
mothers. I mean, Gene, I think some of the writers had a vision because they weren't home seeing their kids because they were always working so hard on the show. I found that there were always these, anytime Wesley Crusher needed some advice, it was always from one of the male characters. And as someone, I thought, what about these single parents, be it male or female? As a mother, I have had huge philosophical discussions with my son about all kinds of things. It's not just, honey, do what I'm saying and here's your lunchbox. And I think that was part of where I had problems because Gene didn't have that particular experience that I had being a mother.
Guys, they're giving me the wrap. I just want to say, Sir Patrick and Miss McFadden, like, not just thank you for your time today, but some of my greatest moments, my fondest memories have been from watching you guys. So I just want to say thank you for a lifetime of happiness and incredible moments and memories. And it's truly an honor to be able to talk to you and have a little bit of your time today. So
Thank you.
seriously,
You
so
had
much.
great questions. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful Gentlemen, day. seriously, it is an absolute honor to speak with both of you. I was raised with you guys, and seriously, this is some of the best Star Trek I've ever seen. So seriously, thank you for your time.
You like it, Jake? Do you?
Oh my God, I love it. If you can't tell, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm going to jump into this because I got 1,000 questions for you. Both of you clearly have such a great history of getting to step behind the camera and direct. You've each directed some of the greatest moments in Star Trek history. But what is a Star Trek episode, a movie, a moment that you didn't direct that you wish you could have been behind the camera for, to have seen it from the perspective of a director?
Ooh, excellent question.
It would have been I am now and always will be your friend, Spock to Kirk. That was a really.
Is that Wrath of Khan? No, is
it's-
that the end of Wrath of Khan?
Well, I'm not sure what.
I love
it is.
the hand on the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
me
the scene.
too.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
in. We're
yeah,
in.
Yeah. That's the one.
That's Khan.
That's Khan. That's two.
That is Khan. That's right.
Nicholas Meyer.
Yeah. Nick Meyer.
I was wondering, though, guys, if you could imagine sitting down with the late, great Gene Roddenberry, watching this season of Picard, and after a few episodes, you lean over and you ask him, what did you think about how we did this? What is the aspect of this season, of this show, that you would just love to get his thoughts on?
I think that Roddenberry would have to adjust to the conflict between his beloved characters. Geordi comes on board and is in conflict with Picard. Riker is in conflict with Picard and what Picard believes, and it was the exact opposite for Gene. It's what he somehow believed that we were in this bubble where there was no conflict, which made, frankly, our drama more complicated to find.
Yeah, definitely so. I agree with Jonathan. The aspect of conflict, or the idea that we have conflict among ourselves, is very new to the next generation ethos, and I think it's a welcome note.
Oh, put your head up.
Thank you.
I got you.
Thank you. My ally.
That's a director right there.
I got his back, man. I got his sign and his back.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's going to be an interesting muscle for you guys to flex, because obviously I know about Mr. Roddenberry's rule of no conflict, but it's interesting. I mean, it's so organic and real in this season, and I love how you guys pull it off. I love the new bridge, and I love the new technology, and I love the green screen. But I grew up watching the Next Gen and that the Enterprise bridge. And I'm just sort of curious, that original bridge will always hold a place in my heart. And as actors, what was your favorite aspect of that original set, or your favorite memory of a small detail maybe that we would never notice as fans, but is buried deep down inside of you because you spent so much time there?
When I sat on the bridge, I was able to observe Brent and LeVar creating how their big acoudogram, which was the big part of their set, actually worked. That they found the key work, the finger work that flew the ship, that piloted the ship, that communicated with other. So there was and Will did the same thing.
Yeah.
It was
The specificity with
Yes,
which
exactly.
we imagined.
and then you see other people come in and start to do a lot of this, and you go, dude, that's not how it's done. Watch LeVar do it. Watch Brent do it. And they'll show you what the buttons actually do.
Mr. Burton, what about you? What did you notice? What did you see other people doing?
Well, for me, it was the rehearsals, the time spent between
Yeah.
takes, the lighting.
Brent singing,
Yes.
Dorn and Patrick wrestling.
Right. Jonathan being Jonathan. It was loud, which is loud, proud, and a ton of fun. That's what I remember, is just the feeling of being together and having fun with our friends. And that's what was great about Picard season 3, was us being together again.
Well, I kind of want to go from there, and this is a big question for you guys, but I was wondering if you could compare the first time you heard action on Next Gen to the last time you heard cut on Picard. Describing those two moments, how each moment was different, your understandings of these characters, your understanding of yourselves as actors. I know it's a big question, but I'd love for you to paint those two beautiful moments in Star Trek history for me.
I didn't know, I was naive to what Star Trek meant. I was very blessed to get the job, but I really was catching up with the cultural iconic place that Star Trek has in the world when I started with Brent up in Griffith Park. And when we finished season 3 of Picard last summer,
I think so.
Yeah, that cut
Yeah.
felt like that was very satisfying season. What are we going to do next? Those are my.
Philosophically speaking,
Yeah.
for me, the moments between action and cut are why we do what it is we do, right? And if you look at the beginning of Encounter at Farpoint and the last moment of Picard,
As a big action.
as a big action and cut,
Ooh,
we have literally lived a lifetime. in
LeVar
between.
Burton reads.
So
This
yeah,
is why you guys are the best at what you do.
That's a good answer.
thank you. I had time to think of it.
Yeah,
Well,
well, I was fumbling with mine. Excellent.
Mr. Frakes, Mr. Burton, this is genuinely, getting to do this junket is one of the great honors of my life. I was raised by your work on so many levels, and I just want to say thank you for your time today, but also just thank you for so much joy that you've brought me in my life. It means the world to me, and getting to talk to you guys means a lot. So I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Jake.
you. Well done.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Seriously, this junket is such a massive honor for me, and this is some of the best Star Trek I've ever seen. So seriously, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dorn, I'm going to start with you. You hold, obviously, an amazing record. You've appeared more times as regular cast member than any other Star Trek actor in franchise history. But thinking about the moments, the episodes, the movies that you weren't in, what is the Star Trek moment you most wish you could have played Worf in, just to experience what that moment would have been like with him in it?
Holy smoke.
Wow,
that
that
is
is
that. I know.
Great question, but
Um,
loaded.
Gosh, I just don't think there is one.
Nice.
I think that,
Mhm.
although Worf isn't the lead in the shows, I think they've given me some great moments, and I haven't sat back and said, watch something and go, oh, I should have been in that. I mean, there is I'm sorry, there is
Oh,
one.
well, actually.
I'm sorry. The last movie, there is a scene where there's a big battle going on. Not insurrection, but Nemesis.
Mhm.
And Worf isn't in the battle.
Mhm.
And I go, really? Worf,
Really? He
big guy,
sacrificed-
Klingon sword, not in this battle? That was one, but in terms of your question, I really don't have one. I mean, I think he's
You
done.
gave me a great answer just now, and you're absolutely right about that, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh,
There you
yes.
go.
Oh,
Yep,
yes.
that's all I'm going to say about Nemesis.
good.
You're absolutely right about that. Ms. Heard, so many of your fellow cast members had the amazing opportunity to meet and know the late, great Gene Roddenberry. If you had had the chance to meet him yourself, what is something you would have loved to have gotten his opinion about in regards to Rafi, and something about your character that you would just love to know his thoughts on?
Well, first I'd say thank you, because, you know, growing up in New York City, biracial, white mom, black dad, back in the day, you know, it was really important for my father that his 3 brown girls saw themselves represented. And so the original series, we would actually sit down so that we could see Uhura, Nichelle Nichols.
Mhm.
And she showed us that not only are we here, are we important, but we can hold powerful positions, because she was a powerful creature. So I would say thank you to him for that. And thank you for creating, it's kind of funny because I said, you know, this powerful, strong woman, Nichelle, to give us all people of color, especially women, you know, the permission to take space. What I love about Rafi is that I'm telling this a same but different story about women of color, of people who struggle, who have hit walls, who have been, you know, tried to be, somebody who's tried to erase them or write them off, even though they know that they have something important to say, and that they're right, because she's always right. But you know, I love that, so that I can give the voice to those who feel like they may roll over, and let them know that don't roll over. You're here. You're valuable. You're incredibly important. Just take a moment, take a deep breath. The sun's going to come up tomorrow, and you know, just one more day. One more day, one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time. You're here, you're valuable, you're necessary. And so I love that juxtaposition of what Nichelle Nichols did, and hopefully what I'm doing for that community as well. So I'd say thank you. Thank you.
And I hope you know there's a whole generation of people looking up to you. So you're continuing that on, which is beautiful. I'm gonna wrap with this, Mr. Doran. I was wondering, this is a big question, but I was wondering if you could compare the first time you heard action on Next Generation to the last time you heard cuts on Picard. The 2 moments in time, how you were different, the sets, your understanding of this character. I know it's a big question, but I'd love for you to just maybe paint those 2 moments in Star Trek history for me.
He's got good questions.
You got good
doesn't he?
questions. These are good. Like, what was the scene, the first scene that you shot?
Oh, the first scene I shot was, it was a scene where Worf tells Riker where to find Data.
I love that he knows this.
I
first of all.
don't, it's
Yeah.
seared in my memory. And an interesting thing, I was the last one cast in Next Generation. They had already been working for 2 weeks, and Gene Roddenberry came up with this idea to put a Klingon on the bridge. And so I went in, I got the job, I went into makeup, and they just stuck me in there. So
Oh,
nobody really knew who I was, which was very interesting,
Oh, how interesting.
which is fine with me. I love that.
Right.
I really did like
Right.
that sort of
Sneak up,
outsider,
right?
yeah, outsider stuff. And then when they said cut on,
It was us.
was it
I
us?
think it was our scene.
I think it was, or was it,
Did you have one after?
No,
you
yeah,
had
no.
one after me. That's right.
you know, the difference is that I had been, that last cut, I've done that several times. I think the last we talked about, I had said goodbye several times in other shows. And so it was one of those things where it wasn't like, oh my God, you know, because I see everybody, you know, all the time anyway. But I've learned never to say never in space. You know, it is, you know, once you think that it's over,
It ain't over.
it ain't over. I mean, this job, you know, in Picard, it caught all of us by surprise.
Mhm.
Literally, we're going, what?
Mhm.
You know, and the scope of it was a surprise,
Mm.
you know, where everybody has stuff to do. And so it was, everything was a surprise. So I don't really look at it as endings. you know, or is like, I mean, although the next generation, when they yell cut on the last scene, I was bawling my eyes out. It was like, I was cool and I was like, these people, I'll see them, no problem, you know? And when they said cut, and everybody says, Michael, are you okay? And I was literally, I couldn't contain myself. But after that,
You were fine.
I went.
Okay. Well, they're calling cut on me, unfortunately. I've got to tell
I'm
you,
sorry.
Miss Hurd, no, please. I got to tell you, like, I was raised on Next Gen, so this junket and this show just genuinely means so much to me. And thank you for your kind words about my questions. I've been working on them. So I appreciate you guys. It's truly an honor. I appreciate your time.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. All
Thank
right.
you guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
And
Sigrid.
okay, that's a cut. Thanks, Jake.
Good to see you guys. How are you?
Good to
Terrific.
see you.
Nice to see
Thanks.
you.
I'm so excited. Seriously, this is some of the best Star Trek I've ever seen in my life. So seriously, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you. I love you guys. And obviously,
Absolutely
Chicago
agree with
loves you guys. I'm gonna jump into this because I've got 1,000
Go,
questions for you.
go,
But I just
go.
want to say, Chicago loves you. By the way,
Aw, we
Miss
love
Ryan, I'm going to start with you. There's a small detail in this season I love, and it's when Seven says that someone on the ship calls her Commander Seven as opposed to Commander Hansen, and to her that is a sign of respect. When a Star Trek fan approaches you on the street, what is the ultimate sign of respect that they can give you? And on the flip side of that, is there anything that fans do that you deem disrespectful?
You know what? Star Trek fans are a whole breed unto themselves. They are the most loyal, the most passionate. They're just incredible. And honestly, I am very fortunate. I've had beautiful fan interactions. People are very respectful. They're very respectful when I'm with my family. And but yeah, it's great. You know, you walk down the street, somebody goes, 7! 7 and 9. I get that one a lot.
I would love to see like people's face that don't know Star Trek and have absolutely no idea what that means. And just try to
numbers.
Why are you random?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of you guys obviously have connections to our beautiful city and our state. But Mr. Stashwick, I want to ask you, Captain Shaw mentions that he's from Chicago. Is that a detail to the character that you specifically added in yourself to give our city a call out?
I would like to take that claim, but no, that was Terry Metalis giving a little nod to my roots. I was so tickled when I read that in the script. It's like, you know, my dad fixed machines for a living, and he essentially was, you know, a grease monkey from Chicago, and so there is this lovely connection that I have to just that person, the engineer that is more comfortable around machines. So I get that, and so when Terry threw that in there, it just made my heart pop.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Miss Ryan, you've had such an amazing journey from Voyager all the way to Picard. Is there anything that you wish you had known at the beginning of this journey? Something that you wish you could have told yourself, a lesson about this series, this character, or this industry that you only figured out later in time?
Well, I would have, never say never. Because I was so sure that I had said goodbye to this character 20 whatever years ago. I mean, never in a million years did I anticipate coming back and revisiting her and continuing this journey and seeing what she becomes and her resilience and her strength and her struggles. And it's just been such a treat.
Well, we're glad that you did. Oh my God, seriously, it's so good. Like I do junkets every single day. And so whenever I don't like something, I just awkwardly ask questions and get my way through the interview. So I promise you, it's genuinely fantastic. Mr. Stashwick, I'm gonna let you guys go on this. There's a moment where Captain Shaw sort of geeks out whenever he meets LaForge. Who is the celebrity you've most geeked out meeting in your life?
That made me nervous. You know, when I got to work with Dick Van Dyke, and early when I first moved to LA, and I grew up on the Dick Van Dyke Show. I grew up on, people always go, who'd you like to work with? And you know, present company included. People always expect me to like Jared Padalecki, because I get asked at conventions, and my answer is always Dick Van Dyke. I just was like, he's a comedy legend, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Mary Poppins. I loved meeting and working with Dick Van Dyke.
Oh my God, that's a great answer. Guys, I cannot tell you enough how much I love. They've given me the first 6 and won't give me any more. So if you know
Just
anyone
wait.
that can give me the other ones,
Just
I mean, if you
wait.
guys know a guy,
Paramount Plus will give it to you in about 10 weeks.
that's always seriously, this is such like a first world problem, but that's always the worst part about getting like the first 6 that I then
Yeah.
have to wait
gotta
for the
wait,
6
yeah.
to play out. And then
Yeah.
also all my friends are like, dude, boohoo, who cares?
It's
Seriously,
worth the
guys,
wait. It's worth the wait.
I know it is. Guys, I love you so much. Seriously,
Thank
thank you
you
for
so
giving me
much.
time and for making such incredible Star Trek. We appreciate you. We love you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.